Hello, everybody. We're back again looking at game week 10 of the English Premier League. As always, we pick a game for the weekend to focus on. For today, for this segment, we'll be focusing on Chelsea versus Manchester United. As we always do, we invite fans to get their thoughts, some analysis ahead of the games. And today we have Ohai joining us, Man U fan, as well as Cincy on the red side. We'll share some thoughts about the firing, or is it hiring, or we don't know what's going on at Man U yet. We'll get some thoughts on that.
Replacement. The
So
sixth one.
Charlie, we had the League Cup, but you know he's Sunday. How are you guys feeling tonight?
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
Feeling
Good.
great and ready.
All right, before we jump into it, please just click the like and share button. Subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed, so you don't miss these updates every week. And we're gonna get right into it. Charles, let's get some early thoughts from you, right? You guys put out your regular Europa Conference League team today in the League Cup, and that didn't go so well against Newcastle. But
Yeah.
you're facing a Man U side. We all know Ten Hag has now been fired. Van Nistelrooy was in charge today. They went up against Leicester, who is a Premiership team. I think they fielded their first team pretty much, except Vardy and the goalkeeper were rested. And a convincing 5-2 win. How are you feeling now against this rejuvenated Man U side?
Thank you. Well, how am I feeling? First of all, today's game, the result is, as you mentioned, was our Conference League slash League Cup team. So that doesn't really matter, considering we have a totally different team that will be playing against Man U. Now, how am I feeling about Man U? As I mentioned before we started recording, Man U. I just wish they had waited a little bit longer. Like, give Ten Hag one more week. We're not happy you fired Ten Hag. Like, that man was doing a decent job. Okay, I'm joking, but I wish he had stayed. I wish we got to face him. I would have been more confident if he was still the coach. But now that he's been fired and there's a new guy there, Ruud van Nistelrooy, yeah, it's not really about him at this point because we know about the new coach bounce that most teams always have when the coach is fired. They have a point to prove. Maybe trying to convince the new coach. But considering they don't have a new coach yet and we don't know who's going to come in, we're hearing rumors about Amorim coming in. But as of right now, how confident I am. I'm not as confident as I was when Ten Hag was fired, but I'm still reasonably confident. I still think Chelsea's first team right now, I'm confident we can face anybody. I'm not saying we will beat them or not. I'm saying we have what it takes to face any team right now. So considering Man U, they are they just go and their coach just got fired and they're going to challenge, but I still think we have what it takes to beat them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cincy, let me come to you. Some early thoughts. I know beginning of the season you were sort of excited about Ten Hag. You're like, okay, they've decided to stick with him. They talk to other people. Let's see what is gonna give. And then, the first game, I think you guys won the first game, and you were like, yeah, let's, good start. You were a little excited, and then second week you were like, yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just continuing everything I saw from last year when I said he should have been fired. How are you feeling? The decision has now been made. I pretty much saw it coming after the West Ham loss right at the weekend. I was like, surely they're not going to keep him for longer. And you guys, it's an interesting position because you're 14th, but you're exactly 7 points away from relegation and 7 points away from top four. So not quite in the middle of the table, but smack that between where you want to be. How are you feeling with Van Nistelrooy taking charge?
Well, how am I feeling? First of all, I just want to say thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. So, first of all, I just want to say we are kind of excited about. I would say I'm excited about the fact that Ten Hag lost his job, but I think it was time for United to make a new decision and go in a new different direction. Like I said, when the season started, again, I wanted to give the guy the benefit of doubt. And I said, this season, I'm not going to criticize him. I'm just going to let him do his thing. And the first game started, and I was going to, requote what you said. I didn't say that. I never said I was excited about him. If I complained about that game against Fulham, I said that this game, it feels like we are back to where we were. There was no spark. It was just all over the place. And that was one of the issues Ten Hag had now. He never was able to show his actual style. Nobody knew what he wanted to play. He's been in the team for, I don't know, 3 seasons now. And when the transfer season started, now, one thing I complimented him for was that he was able to get his transfers done quick and early. But the problem was he kept buying the same players that he was used to back in the day, which means he was going back to his comfort zone. And now that is gone, we are left with these players that he has bought based on his own style. So now that's the problem. New coach who's going to come in, but I think it was time for him to leave. But now going into the Chelsea game, I still think with Van Nistelrooy being a legend of the team, my advice to him would be, of course, he knows that he's not going to get the permanent job, but my advice to him is to enjoy the moment, to try and bring back some euphoria and some excitement back into the team. Like, imagine what the mentality is in the dressing room. I'm sure the mood is probably not the best because I'm sure they've heard all these things that people are saying about Ten Hag and the team as well. So I think this would be a good time for the players to gather themselves together and come out and just try to prove to people now that maybe, in fact, the problem was with Ten Hag and the coaching was the problem. And now they are with a legend like Van Nistelrooy that they can actually go back and enjoy their football and just bring the fans together. And I think Ineos they've had enough of the guy because I think they also noticed that the fans were not interested anymore in the games. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm in a WhatsApp group filled with 80% Man U fans. I'm telling you, man, United could be playing Chelsea or United could be playing Man City. I can guarantee you that group is dead silent. I've never seen anything like that in my life. This whole season, I'm like, how can United be playing a big game like this and nobody is saying anything 45 minutes into the game?
Wow.
So, yeah. So I think they noticed how disinterested the fans were getting. And I'm not going to lie, it was beginning to affect me too. I didn't even care. United was so I think for him to go, I think was the best decision for United. But now I'm begging the management, I'm begging them, the next person they bring in, they need to make sure that they get it right this time around. It's enough of all this anky-panky trying to bring in somebody that would resurrect. No, they need to have a plan. They need to bring in somebody that is going to come in there and the person is ready to actually work and not make excuses, because that was all Ten Hag did.
So let me poke at a couple things you said there, right? You said, that Van Nistelrooy is not going to be hired, and you said, you're hoping that the management really takes their time to consider who they bring in.
Yeah.
Do you think Van Nistelrooy should be considered for the job? Is he the man for the job based on
No. I don't
why?
think so.
Why is that?
Because we've gone through this whole process of trying to bring in legends of the team back as the head coach. And it hasn't really worked out well for United. And again, we've tried Ryan Giggs, we've tried Carrick, we've tried Ole Gunnar. Now we're bringing him back. We're bringing in Van Nistelrooy. So it's. I don't think that is what the team needs right now. I don't think Van Nistelrooy. I think Van Nistelrooy is just going to be, again, that euphoria vibes, which is what Ole used to get the job in the first place. He won those 10 games out of just the fact that we were just relieved that Mourinho was gone, and they brought him in, and there was just this excitement in the team that just got us going. It was fun, it was fun, and they just fell for that FOMO, and they galloped the guy and they just picked him up and they just hired him, and all of a sudden he lost the next 10 games or something. He just went on a bad streak after the employment. So I would not advise them to employ Rude, because Rude, first of all, doesn't really have a lot of experience at that level yet. And I think this would be a good time for us to, if they don't even see, this is what I'll tell them. If they don't know who they want to pick as a manager, at least let them just play it safe and pick somebody who can take care of the team now, at least for now, and not somebody who's just going to come in there and blow things and just make everything just go out of proportion, and before you know it, we're back to square one again. So that is my own advice to the team. But again, Van Nistelrooy, enjoy the moment. You're a legend, number 9. Take these boys back to having fun and winning games the right way. That's just my own thing. And this is the perfect time to play Chelsea again. I think the fact that they are going into this game with that new excitement should, we should see what they will produce. Again, I'm not expecting much from this game. I think it's just going to be a game of, feelings and everyone just trying to prove a point. So again, this is not going to mean anything. Even if United wins that game 5-0, I don't think it's going to change anything about the future. It's not going to be, so that's my point.
Let's get some thoughts from Ohio. Ohio, are you feeling the same way about hiring Van Nistelrooy? Should another coach come in? Are you excited that Van Nistelrooy is in charge now for this game?
To be honest, I think that this game in the mid-season basically helped rule out for us to see the style of play he can basically put on the pitch. And actually watching that match today, you can basically see that. I think it was like the second or third goal when Dalot got all the way to the right, and then there was an early pass he gave all the way to Garnacho on the other side. And I was like, where has this been all this while? I was wondering about this style of play because Dalot was always one of those guys that will always push out. Garnacho was one of those that will always stay in the midfield, try to break his way. But when I saw that, I was like, somebody definitely is getting into the ears of these players and getting them to do the things that they're doing. Casemiro, who scored 2 goals or so today, was always one who would always stay back. You never really saw him away from the midfield. Don't forget now, Leicester is actually a Premier League team. We have Ndidi over there, a fellow Nigerian who is actually balling out. And Leicester is not even a bad team in the Premier League this season. And to see the likes of Casemiro push up and all of that and then create all those different chances, I was like, well, it felt like if it was a coup from my regard, like the players had a coup against Ten Hag. They decided to play below their regular standards and then they got him kicked out. So I felt sorry for Ten Hag in a specific way because every time you saw that team set up as a Manchester United fan, you wanted them or you expected them to actually go par for the likes of Crystal Palace, the little draws we had, and all of those with Porto, Aston Villa. I mean, Aston Villa is a decent team, but I mean, or almost the same level as Manchester United. But I would say this, regardless of anything, right? Whenever a new coach comes into a team, there's this little jive or this little energy that then comes into the team. You expect them to start playing differently. Players have a point to prove and all that. And I think that now this basically tease it up now for Chelsea. Chelsea's a big team. They're a team that we know the depth of the Chelsea team is deep. They can change it up on you in 45 minutes and it's still going to be the same standard anyways, right? So Rude now this is your opportunity to basically win the coaching job. I don't think he did a bad job in PSV going through that specific sequence, but I think this from of which one of my favorite coaches of all time, Mourinho, was when Mourinho moved from Porto to Chelsea. Mourinho knew what the culture was and everything that goes with playing football and winning games in Porto and how he had to go about business. But when he moved to Chelsea, his mentality had to change from the position of, I need to bring in players that would then play for me with this standard and then win utilizing the same mentality. That means I'm going to make sure tactically we're sound, making sure our football play is fluid, and then defensively we know you can score. Can these young coaches now, such as Ruud van Nistelrooy, we had Andres Villas-Boas the last time that we thought was going to be a young coach that would come in and do. We understood all of the little things that's happened in Chelsea as well as Marseille. And then now we have the likes of Amorim and then Van Nistelrooy, OGS. Even David Moyes missed missed the opportunity for him to be great in this specific instance. You just need to play a different style of football. You need to understand that football now is a game in which you have to have a clear mentality and understand now the position that you've been put in and how can you win. We can use the examples of Ancelotti that went to Everton. Style of play was different, but then you put him in a big team in Real Madrid, and we know the story of what Real Madrid has been able to do in the last couple of years now, dominating in the Spanish league, kicking Barcelona down to the curb. So I expect now, let's see, Van Nistelrooy, the biggest mistake that Ten Hag made in the offseason was him calling you and saying, hey, can you be our assistant coach? Because I think that was when he got fired. If I was the board, I was just waiting. I was like, yeah, anytime I'm just pissed off at what do you call him, at Ten Hag, I can just call Van Nistelrooy and I know that the fans will settle down because we have respect for a legend and we won't go bunkers so easily. So now I think that even after the draws we had before the last international break, there was already talks about it as, is this going to be the time during the board meeting where they would kick him down the curb? And unfortunately, they gave him some chances for him to actually create some results that might basically help them with their decision, but he didn't do a good job with it. And unfortunately, the board basically did what they were supposed to do, or what they thought they were going to do in the beginning of the season. So, yeah.
So, all right, good analysis. I just want to follow up on some of the things that I'll start with Charles and because Charles, you and I we don't agree, and you've actually said some things that we're not going to agree tonight. You said you feel
we
that.
agree. We agree sometimes.
No. Hold on. So I was just looking at the squad that played against Newcastle. You had Joao Felix. That was many years ago, the fifth most expensive player in the world, £130 million. Joao Felix. So it's not a small player. Nkunku from Bundesliga, highly rated, right? Mikhailo Modric, the guy you stole. You remember the transfer, 100 million. Enzo Fernandez, another 100 million. Marco Kurela, that's a starter. Badiashile, remember when he landed, you were shouting all around Badiashile. Tosin Adarabioyo, right? That's a regular. So the point I'm trying to tell you is that do not tell me that team that played against Newcastle wasn't good enough. That's a very strong side. You lost. That's it. Let's just take it that way. Back to you, Cincy.
Do you want my response?
Yeah, quick response. Go ahead. I mentioned a lot of £100 million on that team.
I didn't say the team is not a strong team. I was implying that the team is not our first team. As Ayo mentioned when he started, he said your Conference League / Carabao Cup team.
And they've been delivering in the Conference League.
You're missing the point. The point is they are not our first team.
Okay.
Our first team, hold on.
No,
it's a totally different 11.
You gotta be quick. It's my turn to talk.
Okay. Our first team is a totally different 11. Joao Felix is not on the first team. Modric is not. The first team that plays in the Premier League, the only first team player that came in today was Noni Madueke, who came in as a sub. The whole 11.
Is Marco Kurela first team or second team?
He hasn't been first team for the past couple of games.
Oh,
so
really?
the whole 11 is been Reece James and Gusto. So my point is, look, hold on. Let me just land my point. My point is, I wasn't dissing the team like that team is not strong enough. My point is that's not our first team. The whole team that played today, 10 or 11 of them, are not in the Premier League team that we've been fielded. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, so it's not part of the 45-man team. Okay, all right, cool.
Whatever you want to call it.
Cool. I'll move on. But I just want to say this one. The only guy that is not on the first team is Kopama. Outside of Kopama, everybody else is.
Okay, you can't move on that point because Biodu, you are wrong.
Everybody else is really wrong.
No, hold
on. I'm moving on. You just said yours.
Hold on. I can give you the whole first team offhand without even opening up a piece of paper. Okay. Rob Sanchez.
Okay.
Gusto. Reece James. Colwill. Fofana.
Just came back. See, this is how you know that this guy is This is how you know that Reece James just came back. But this is the same guy that told me that.
Hold on, guys.
The second team after a few games.
Biodun, hold on.
Be honest. You just have to.
Biodun does have a point though because Biodun does have a point because up until a few games ago, Cucurella played
was starting. Okay.
Tosin was starting until Fofana was fit.
Come on, man.
Fernandez has been playing as well until Lavia was fit.
Okay,
so those three are first team players. They've been in your first 11 more this season than any of the other three that you were mentioning.
James has played how many games this season? How many games? And he's the first team player.
So if three players
on the sick bed for so long,
I'll let you finish. If 3 players out of 11 played in the first team, but have not been recently playing in the first team, can you tell me the whole team is the first team? Because you mentioned Joao Felix. He's not a first team Premier League player. You mentioned Modric.
I didn't say that. Again. I don't have much time, Charles, because we have to move on.
We have to move on, but you're bringing up a point that is false, and I'm trying to correct you. You barely watch Chelsea games as much as I do.
The most expensive player in the world.
I don't care about how expensive he is. That point is not valid. The point is the 11 Nkunku, Joao Felix, Modric. These guys are not Chelsea first team players.
Okay.
They are not Chelsea first team players. So if you're trying to bring up a point to this Chelsea and say, oh, this team is actually strong when they lost against Newcastle, that's not the point I'm trying to make.
Let me ask the question, Charles. Are any of the players that play today, are they likely to start against Man U on Sunday?
Maybe Cucurella.
Okay.
And that's one person out of 11.
Tosin has been starting as well. Tosin starts?
Who?
Tosin.
No, Tosin is not starting. It's Colwill and Fofana.
It's Wesley Fofana and Colwill, right? Okay, fine. So let's get back. Let's get back on the game, right? Let's get back on the game. Yeah. Let's get back on the game. Cincy.
Yeah.
I want to make some points around Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Mhm.
And this is the question to you and OI. Are we saying now that it's so clear that it's actually a coup and there is a group of players that actually rule and govern Man United?
Wait, hold on. What do you mean government? Like a pool of players that govern Man United based on what
Okay,
fact?
right. Okay, cool. So you talked about players showing up today. Ohai talked about, is this the same Garnacho that we used to watch? Is this the same Dalo that couldn't score net last week?
Okay.
Hold on, listen. Let me lie. So because remember, this goes back all the way to the days of Mourinho.
Mhm.
Mourinho, Ratnik,
Mhm.
all the coaches.
Yeah.
All of them, the way they got fired, the moment they got fired, you guys had better results.
Exactly.
After a while, the coaches started having issues to establish his own structure. Then the players, I don't know, from your words, they do the same thing. Then they fire the coach. Then they bring in another person. Then they show performance. Then something happened. We get in the news, whether a fight or something in the dressing room, or somebody listening to rap music after they lost or whatever it is, and they're dancing as on to. I don't know. Are you confirming that there's actually a group of players that rule Man United? Is that what you are saying?
No, well, I wouldn't say a group of players ruled Man United. I think for me, it's just a thing of situation. And like you said, you mentioned it, and I think it's a cycle of how things were going with United. You know, it's like I said, they fire a new coach. And I think the problem with United, I think if you really think about it, and me looking at things from outside, I'm beginning to suspect that the actual problem might be coming internally from the coaches' frustration. Now, listen to me. This is what I think happen. A lot of these coaches, when they get employed to come to United, they already have this idea on their head that, oh, I'm coming to United and I'm going to be the savior. I'm going to be the one who's going to save United. I'm going to be the one who's going to be the legend after Sir Alex Ferguson. Now they get there and they realize the enormous task at hand that they need to do and everything. You know, at the beginning, the coach will now leave. When the coach leaves, the reason why the coach left in the first place is because now the coach has gotten frustrated to the point that he has realized that he's not able to get his message across to the team anymore. So now there's always this internal conflict. And that is why at the end of the day, it goes back to the field and it shows on the field. Now, when they fire the coach, guess what happens? The whole team is like, oh, this guy is gone. This useless man is gone. Now, they are happy, they're excited. They go the next game, and guess what? The coach, because they don't even have time to practice. And that's why I was telling them, Ohio, that don't believe in this game. The guy probably told them yesterday, hey, listen, you guys just go do your thing, blah, blah, blah. They go there, boys are excited. They play, 5-2 is fine. Now, you go back and play Premiership game when things need to be a little bit more tactical and when you need to be a little bit more serious. And you as a manager, you're now trying to bring that same idea into these boys. Game 1, they don't show up. Game 2, they don't show up. Game 3, they don't show up. Game 4, they don't show up. Trust me, at some point, you will get frustrated. And
let me ask you a question right there, Sinzi, right? Remember we had this conversation weeks ago when we talked about you, and I agree with you on that point that ETH bringing his own boys because he's trying to play the boys that will listen to him, that will help him carry out his vision.
Yeah.
And we all agreed that, okay, you remember we said that if ETH got fired, what would happen to those players? Remember when we said that?
Yeah.
Now, based on how you describe the problem, shouldn't that be the right way for any manager to fix the problem? Because walking into Man United, there's this list of players, there's this group of players that will actually not do what you want, they won't listen to you. It's better for me to just bring in the boys that understand me, that respect me, that I've worked with in the past, that will actually implement what I'm trying to do. Isn't that a good strategy?
Now, that's a good strategy now, but the problem is this: a lot of them keep bringing in players that they think it's going to work for them. If you look at the historics of all the players they bought, they haven't really bought any tangible player that I can say, oh, this guy is such a talent that I see him in the future. It's not of the academy, like they actually bought and brought to the team.
Got it.
Somewhere. We don't have those kind of players. And if you look at a lot of the players that they bring in, the quality of their purchase of what it drops. They can't even sell them back. They don't have resale value.
Yeah.
So they are bringing in bad players. That's the problem. They're not bringing in the right players.
Let me go to Ohio.
The management is not bringing in the right coach. They keep hiring the wrong people. And that's why I
Right.
said, let me be very
Listen, let me
careful.
check with why. Why? What's your thought on this player controversy? Because the reason I'm asking this thing is you guys are so excited right now about
Not
Amorim.
me. I'm not
No,
excited.
wait, hold on, Cincy. The same way you guys are excited about Amorim, that was the same way you were excited about the past coaches. So Amorim is going to come. He's going to bring the fresh, breath, and now things will go again. I will tell you what I think. Personally, I think Amorim is going to do better than these guys. Is he going to get my back? I don't know. But let me ask you, since Oi, what's your thoughts on these players and this Amorim coming back and trying to fix the problem? Is he going to bring all the Portuguese now and send all these guys away and bring his own players? Is that what's going to happen?
I still go back to I don't know, man. I think that he needs to be studied, most especially in the English game and in every game. And I'll probably elaborate on two different teams. We talk about Mourinho when his first season coming into Chelsea. Unfortunately, we're talking about Manchester United, Chelsea, and I'm kind of talking about Chelsea too much. There were two players he brought, right? Ferreira and then Carvalho in the back, right? Those are two players who basically helped him during the Champions League wins. And when you thought about it, right, these were the kinds of players he wanted to field in that specific team. Defensive-minded players. I know in the center pairing this person with John Terry, as well as my right side, I know I'm good. It talks about the mentality of that. When ETH basically, I feel like if sometimes, right, some coaches, when we look at how much ETH had spent on these young players, it's going all the way over to what, 300 and something million, right, from that specific regard. Why did we pay this much for the likes of Anthony? Why did we pay? It was just stupid in my specific regard, right? Was it a way for him to basically boost another team's finances in some way, knowing that that specific team doesn't basically do the regular trading that other team does, and they just find it? Well, I guess I might be a conspiracy theorist, but I'll just keep my mouth shut concerning that in that specific regard. Now, what is going to happen to these players? They have to perform. Are you actually at the level to actually play the right style of football that Manchester United expects of you? Ajax has always been known as being one of those second-tier teams or step-down teams in which you can basically utilize that space in order for you to go to the big games. Ibrahimovic has played over there. We can talk about so many different players that have gone through there. But were they Manchester United caliber or world-class caliber? I don't think so. Another thing I'll piggyback on, I think I was going back to the Chelsea situation, right? Unfortunately, Chelsea met a Newcastle team they just met 3 days ago, right? Newcastle is a nice team. In that specific regard, you play them a specific kind of way. Trust me, man, they will come back and then they will basically punish you as they did today. So unfortunately for Chelsea, they kind of had a bad draw in that specific regard. So, but they won't have a bad draw against Manchester United because we're going to whoop them down to the ball.
So on that point, you're saying that you would win this game. How are you feeling about that game? Manchester United way or Chelsea way or draw?
Honestly, to me, this game, like I said, it doesn't really mean much for me. I think, United could win, they could draw. It's very hard for me to say, but I can't. I actually think Chelsea might win this game because I think United is still a little bit underprepared as compared to Chelsea, who kind of has it going together. And again, they've already gotten out that Euphoria game out today. So again, the game this weekend is going to be more tactical. And Van Nistelrooy is going to realize how tough it is to manage in the Premiership, and he needs to get himself ready. It's not going to be easy. And I'm thinking Chelsea can actually win this game.
So you're predicting a loss then for Man U?
Yeah, I'm predicting a loss for Man U in this game. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for him. And like I said, I don't think United is ready yet. It's going to be a challenge for him. I don't know. Again, United has not done enough to make me think that they are ready to play in the big games. Yes, I get the fact that Ten Hag is gone, but I feel like this game on Saturday is going to be a little bit different, and it's really, really going to show what these boys are actually made of. Again, Ten Hag is not there, and now this is going to be time for them to prove who was the problem. Is it you or is it Ten Hag? So we're gonna find out on Saturday, and I think Chelsea is actually going to expose them as well. Ten Hag is not going to take the fall for all this. The problem, like I said, goes internally. These players, they come in there, they don't perform. Look at Anthony. We bought that guy for how much? He hasn't played one game. Even his own manager does not even trust him anymore. He doesn't trust him anymore. So you can imagine the guy's frustration. You can imagine Ten Hag's frustration. I bought you here and you are dancing with the ball on the field. I mean, I'll be pissed off now. I'll be mad. You're not performing.
All right.
So
started a bit more.
Like why is confident of a win, Charles? Your prediction.
Yeah.
What do you?
Is Ohio
so-
Ohio sure of a win?
Yes,
Oh, I'm
I'm
sure.
100% sure of a win. I'm 100% sure of a win. The only thing I feel right since is most United fans now, they've got into this little feeling where now we're having big games and then we just want to just play it safe, or we don't have huge expectations
Oh,
anymore.
no.
This
No, that's
team
not the
has
point.
basically been created now to withhold any pressure that can come. Is it against Jackson? The only person I guess I can worry about is probably Nkuku. We have the league back there. We have Lasandro Martinez going good. Mazraoui doing awesome. Dalot is going to give you a time for a run for your money in that specific regard. You're going to have to play us real football, right? Ugarte and Casemiro is playing. I don't know what's going to happen, man. We're going to whoop Chelsea's butt.
Ayo, this is
Wow.
Lobsy in a touche form.
I love
What
it.
I know, right?
This
All right,
is
so-
Lobsy in a touche form.
So let me
Charles,
respond real quick.
I'd like to get your take.
Yes, so I sent something to you, Biodu and Ayo. Chelsea made 11 changes today. 11. Not 9, not 7, 11.
Okay.
So going back to Biodu's point of when I said that team is different, and I'm linking this to Ohai's statements. Two things Ohai said, that Chelsea made Newcastle today, blah, 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 they couldn't handle Newcastle. Newcastle fielded their first team. That's an excuse. But I'm just saying the Chelsea team Newcastle met today was not the Chelsea team Newcastle met during the weekend. 11 changes. The whole team was changed. So going back to the statement, last second statement I made, that he's not worried about Jackson. The only person he's worried about is Nkunku. Nkunku does not start in the Premier League. Nkunku has only played in the Conference League and the Carabao. So you should be worried about Jackson because that's who you're going to be facing. Jackson and Palmer are debatably be our strongest players throughout the season. Yeah, maybe you're thinking about the Jackson of last season. You may not have watched him enough. That's why you're bringing Nkunku. You may have watched him.
Jackson.
I watched him a
That's
lot.
what-
Is there any way we can pull up the starting lineup for that game?
I
Because
mean,
I'm
just
I'm
so
looking
we're
at the
clear,
lineup of that
Newcastle
game, man.
did make changes today as well, right?
No, they
Thank
did. I'm
you.
not saying
Thank you.
Had
See,
about
Charles
4
would come here and just be spilling
I'm
stuff.
not saying they
Like,
did. I'm saying they did
stop,
not
man.
play.
Come on, man.
Hold on. I started by saying Chelsea made 11 changes. Changed the whole
I
team.
heard you, but
Newcastle
you said,
did not.
no,
Biodu,
that's
let me
not
finish.
true. That's not true. Look at the lineup of Newcastle compared to who you played last weekend.
Okay, hold on.
Stop, Charles.
Isak played.
Eh,
Played last weekend.
Ayo,
Isak
can you
played
please
today, yes or
bring
no?
up the lineup of that game, please? It will
Which
solve this
game?
issue.
Today's game or Saturday?
The Newcastle and Chelsea game. Bring the game.
Which
bring the
one?
lineup.
Saturday or today?
The Carabao game, the one you guys are arguing about now.
We're
No,
not
no.
arguing.
I
The
mean,
point-
we all
Since-
have it here. There's
since the
no
point is,
I'm just
the
pushing
point
back
is-
on Chelsea's false statement.
excuse.
it's not a false statement. It's not an excuse. I'm making it. They're making a statement that is a fact. Chelsea made 11 changes.
I
The
agree.
screenshot I sent
How
you
your
guys was-
statement about
They
was
did.
on the
Hold on,
Chelsea
Biodu,
website.
hold on.
about Newcastle.
Biodu, hold on.
Biodu, hold on. The point I'm trying to make is Chelsea did not make 7 changes. They made 11. I'm trying to tell you, they were 2 different teams. The people who played on Saturday, not one of them started today. Not one.
Okay.
So going back to that point of Man U is going to face Chelsea's strongest team on Sunday. So I expect a win. Now I expect Man U to challenge. It's going to be very close, maybe a 2-1 win, 3-2, whatever. I expect Man U to step up because of the no more coach bounce or coach has been fired bounce, whatever you guys call it. But I still expect Chelsea to win because 11 players were rested. These 11 players are going to start are players who did not play today. Only Noni Madueke came in that has been a regular starter. So before Biodu jumps at me, I didn't say Newcastle fielded. I'm not saying Newcastle did not make any change. I'm saying Newcastle did not make 11 changes like we did.
Okay.
The team Newcastle faced today is not the team they faced on Saturday. That's the point I'm trying to make. So back to Ohio statement, you brought up Nkunku, you brought up Jackson. Jackson and Palmer have been our strongest player, like I said. So the team you're going to face on Sunday is the strongest team, and I expect us to beat you guys.
Okay.
Good.
So Charles is expecting a win.
Ayo, please feel free to wrap up. But I just want to say one thing. Again, I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy the debate. But let's just say one clear thing. It doesn't matter whether it's a first team or second team. They wear the jersey of the club, and
That's your opinion.
No. For fun, let's
That's your
just accept. If
No.
you put on an Arsenal jersey, whether you are Emily Smith Rowe or you are what's it called? Kiwo, or you are Saliba, it's on Arsenal. That's the fact. Let's just take that. For the fact that they are registered, for the fact that you sent out Sterling, it means that is the people that you rely on and you trust. And if they put on the Chelsea jersey, that means they are Chelsea. I just want everybody to be clear on that. That's number one. Number two, you spent more money. Hold on. You spent more money buying players, having 55 or 60 players, right? Newcastle didn't have that money. They didn't buy. They didn't do any business. They wanted to buy McGahey. It didn't go through. So they didn't do business. Now, that is the team that didn't do business and they are still surviving. So if you want to play fairness, then let's play fairness and let's be fair to Newcastle. That's my point. Ayo.
So this whole thing is not really about Newcastle, actually. It's about Chelsea. And for you to make the statement, it doesn't matter who wears the jersey, who shows up under the wearing the jersey.
Is it not Chelsea players?
You are the same person who, the last time we're recording against Liverpool, you said, and I quote, Arsenal's 3 strongest players are out. Saka, Odegaard, and Saliba. So
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I just said that. No. I won't keep quiet if you say things that are.
Okay, let me finish.
Quiet.
You said or you agreed. Okay, you said or you agreed that Arsenal's 3 strongest players, Saliba, Odegaard, and Saka, are going to be out against Liverpool. So you don't expect Arsenal to win the game. So the point is, every team has a first team, second team, third team, whatever. Every team has their strongest players. Every team has a certain level. I understand your point of trying to sound diplomatic and saying it doesn't matter who plays as long as they're wearing the Chelsea jersey. That's fact.
All right.
But it's still fact that the team that played today was not Chelsea's first team. Whether you accept it or not, that's fact.
In summary, Charles is expecting the first 11 to show up at Old Trafford on Sunday and to beat Man U at home. Since he wouldn't be surprised if that happens, Ohai says no chance. Biodun, do you want to give a prediction?
Thunder fire Chelsea. They will lose.
And on that note, it's a good night, guys.